Welcome everyone to today's webinar. We're just going to give folks another minute to get logged in, and then we'll go ahead and get started, but hopefully everyone can hear this. So everyone is muted, so if you have any issues, feel free to use the question tab or the question panel or the chat function there. So again, we'll get started in just a minute here. All right, welcome everyone to today's webinar, Making the Most of Your Main Street Conference, everything you need to know to gear up for Seattle, which is just a little under 2 weeks away. So just want to give everyone, especially for those folks that may have not been to a conference before, a little bit of an overview of the conference, a little bit of an overview of the hotel, and some events that you want to make sure to not miss while you're in Seattle. And then later on we have Brianne Durham, who is the coordinator for the Washington State Main Street program, joining us. But she's just going to kind of give you some insider things of, things to do while in Seattle, that if you aren't attending some of the mobile workshops or doing other things or coming early or staying late, just some things that you want to make sure you see while you're there. And just before we get started, everyone is on mute, so if you have any questions or issues, feel free to use that chat function. We'll probably just handle all questions at the end just because, there's a chance we may cover it. But again, feel free to type in any questions you have as we're going through the webinar. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. There we go. So just a quick hotel overview. A majority of the group I know is staying at the Hyatt Regency Seattle, which you can see there, notified by that red dot there, which is essentially at 8th and Howell. Brand new property, just finished up in December. I believe they said it's the largest hotel in the Pacific Northwest. So very, very big property, and that's where a majority of the guests or attendees are staying. But for some of you that may be staying at other overflow options, you can see a majority of those on there. To the north is the Hilton Garden Inn, which is at Boren and Howell, essentially. Another overflow I know is at the Homewood Suites, which is kind of to the, southeast of the Hyatt, over near Pike Street, kind of right by I-5 there. I know there are overflows at the Grand Hyatt Seattle, which both the Grand Hyatt is at between Pike and Pine, 7th and 8th. I don't know if you can see my arrow, but the Grand Hyatt's right here, Homewood Suites back here, Hilton Garden was up here, and then I know Hyatt at Olive 8 is also another small overflow block, which is essentially right across the street from the Hyatt Regency. So all those are definitely within walking distance, and I know Brian has promised us good weather as it's looking good next week. So we're hoping that continues. But that just gives everyone kind of a nice overview of where the hotel is in conjunction with those other overflows. All events, with the exception of the opening plenary and the big bash, will take place within the Hyatt Regency Seattle. So exhibit hall registration, all education sessions, and then all mobile workshops will depart from there. So that's kind of your headquarter hotel, more or less. Just walking you through the Hyatt Regency a little bit. So the meeting space is composed of floors 3 through 7. We aren't quite using all of that. But the 7th floor will house the exhibit hall, which you can see highlighted there nicely and says Expo. Registration will be right outside of that where it says tickets. We have a conference bookstore again this year, Third Place Books, which is a local Seattle bookstore, and they'll have a number of books available for purchase, along with some local Seattle T-shirts, souvenirs, other nice takeaways you can bring back home. And then throughout the 7th floor, not all those meeting rooms will be utilized, but a number of those rooms will be utilized for education sessions. As I mentioned, we're also utilizing 3, 5, and 6. All of these floors are accessible either via escalator or via, there is an elevator, as you can kind of see there in the orangish, that'll navigate you through all these floors. Floor 3 is really only for the general sessions, which will take place on Tuesday and Wednesday morning. And then I believe there's also some sponsored lunches on those days that will take place on the 3rd floor. Outside of that, we aren't utilizing any of the meeting space on the 3rd floor. And the general session and those lunches will take place in the Columbia Ballroom that you see there to the left. And then floor 5 and 6 will be where the balance of the education sessions are. So those are your either 45-minute crash courses or hour-and-a-half regular education sessions. So again, all very accessible. Also, on the 2nd floor is a nice kind of grab-and-go cafe type restaurant. They have coffee and then just some light snacks for folks. So that's on the 2nd floor, right up from the lobby. And I do believe it's open 24 hours a day. So registration hours, as I mentioned, they'll take place on the 7th floor in the Regency Ballroom foyer. Registration will open on Sunday at 9 a.m. And then it's open Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then limited hours on Wednesday. We always get the question for folks who may have a Sunday mobile workshop, which takes off before registration officially opens. We will have a list with all of the attendees' names at the bus, so just feel free to proceed there and check in. And then you can register, pick up all your materials when you return from that tour. Also this year, we'll be utilizing a new automated registration system, which, from what I understand, it will be similar to kind of when you check in at the airport. So I'll move to the next slide. There's a good overview here. So next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, you should receive an email with this QR code from Site Solutions, the registration vendor we work with. And basically what you can do is bring this QR code and scan it when you get to registration at the Hyatt, and it'll pull up all of your information. What's nice about this is if you misspelled your name on your badge, or you've changed organizations, or something's incorrect, you can literally update it right there, which should hopefully save you time from having to have the registration company update all that, reprint it, and everything. So that's a really nice feature that we're looking forward to using this year. If you don't have the QR code, you didn't receive it or whatever, all you have to do is simply type in your last name, and that'll pull up your registration. There is registration staff on site, as well as we have volunteers who will be at the registration counters to assist folks. So don't feel like you're going to be there on your own. There will be folks there to assist with that. And then also new this year with these badges is all of your mobile workshops or anything that you signed up for is going to be printed on the back of your badge, so you won't have physical tickets for this. So that's a good place where you can just check and make sure that everything that you signed up for is on the back of your badge there. The only exception for this is the Big Bash. If you're attending the Big Bash, that will have a physical ticket, so just make sure that you have that ticket for the Big Bash. As I just mentioned briefly, volunteers, of course, as Main Streeters, we all know that, nothing's possible without the help of volunteers, and just want to thank Brianne and her team for organizing close to, I think, 80 or 90 volunteers that will be helping with various aspects of the conference. They will all be easily identifiable in these green shirts here, which are similar. We sold a conference t-shirt this year, which is similar. The conference t-shirt's blue, so the volunteers, again, will be distinguishable in green. So if you have questions, they'll be, as I mentioned, they'll be at registration. There'll be a volunteer in each education session as a room monitor. There'll be volunteers helping dispatch the mobile workshops. There'll be volunteers helping with the opening plenary. And then we also have a few volunteers that are kind of directional, so they'll just be spaced throughout the meeting space. Just if if you have trouble finding, your way around or finding a meeting room, they'll be there to assist you. So, definitely look out for them and, ask them questions you may have. Now just getting into a little bit of a conference overview. On Sunday, we have the Main Street 101s, which, for any of those of you new to Main Street, or, if you just need a little refresh, those take place on Sunday from 12 to 5. And it covers each of the 4 points, and one of the Main Street America Field Services team members will cover each of those points there. On Monday, there's over 20 educational session options, but just highlighting a couple of deep dive sessions. The first is from our partners for Project for Public Spaces, and Enabling Better Places is from the Center for New Urbanism. So just a couple deep dives there for those of you who are in early on Monday and looking for some recommendations for sessions to attend. Moving along to Tuesday. From 8:15 to 9:30, we have our general session, which this year is sponsored by AARP. It's featuring Deb and Jim Fellows, along with our president and CEO, Patrice Fry, called From Our Towns to Your Towns, Lessons Learned Across America. So we definitely encourage, all attendees. This is the only session that is going on, both on Tuesday and Wednesday. The general session is the only thing happening at this time, with the exception of some mobile workshops. But, we definitely encourage folks to attend this. There will also be a book signing following this, the Tuesday general session with the fellows. So if you're interested, there will be a book signing. Then on Wednesday, sponsored by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation and Benjamin Moore, is Entrepreneurship on Main Street, Making the Case for Place. Again, as I mentioned with the fellow session on Tuesday, this is the only session taking place on that day. And then finally, sponsored by American Express, on Wednesday from 3:45 to 5 is our closing plenary featuring Ji Zhang. Again, this is, kind of the closeout of the session. We'll also be announcing the 2020 conference location during that. So definitely encourage you to attend if you're still around. Now just hitting on a couple, what we like to call can't miss events. And these are, things we want to make sure we highlight and make sure you attend. First is the opening plenary and reception, which takes place on Monday from 2:30 to 4. This will be at Benaroya Hall, which is located, it's about half a mile away from the hotel. And it starts at 2:30. I believe the last session ends at 12:30. So you have about 2 hour or hour and a half, hour 45 to, grab some lunch and make your way over to Benaroya, and then immediately following the reception from the plenary from 4 to 5:15 is an opening reception where all attendees will have a drink ticket to get one complimentary beverage, and then there will also be some hors d'oeuvres there for you to enjoy. And we want to just give a shout out to Stockbridge for sponsoring that reception from 4 to 5:15. On Tuesday from 4 to 5 p.m. is the Exhibitors Reception. This takes place in the Hyatt Regency Ballroom on the 7th floor. All of you will receive in your registration bags a passport raffle, and with that raffle, if you visit all of the exhibitor booths, not all of them, but all the participating exhibitor booths, which I believe there's 20 to 22, you'll be entered to win a variety of prizes, from an iPad to AirPods to gift cards to benches or other products for your Main Street, along with a 2020 Main Street Now conference registration. So definitely be sure to check that out. Again, you'll receive a drink ticket for this event with your registration, and then there's appetizers and hors d'oeuvres there as well. And just for the exhibit hall, it is open all day Tuesday, starting 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then on Wednesday from 7:30 a.m. to 10:15 a.m. Both on Tuesday and Wednesday, there will be a light breakfast and some coffee provided in the exhibit hall. So definitely be sure to get in there and grab some breakfast before those general sessions. Breakfast will be served starting right at 7:30. So, make sure to get in there early and get your food and coffee. The last event I wanted to hit on was the Big Bash. This is our closing party, which takes place Wednesday evening from 6 to 10:30 p.m. This year it's generously sponsored by One Main Financial. There is a cost for this one, whereas the opening plenary and the exhibitor reception, there's no cost. This is $55. Advanced registration is required. I know there's only about 30 tickets left. So if you're interested in attending, I would definitely encourage you to sign up quickly for that. There'll be a band, there'll be a photo booth, a cupcake table, from what I understand. Definitely, a fun event that you want to make sure to attend. And the sanctuary is a gorgeous venue. It's the oldest Byzantine church, I believe, in the world, or in the country, I should say. So definitely a very, very cool venue. And then buses for that will depart from the Hyatt Regency beginning at 5:45. We do basically do a shuttle service, so buses will run, I believe, from the Hyatt Regency to the sanctuary from 5:45 until about 7:30 p.m. And then essentially all the buses will stage at the sanctuary and start shuttling people back as you like. I believe the first bus departs the sanctuary back to the Hyatt Regency about 8 p.m. It's probably about 6-7 block walk from the Hyatt. So, if you want to walk it, certainly able to, but there will be shuttle service provided. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Holly, who's going to walk you through our mobile event guide for this year. So, me?
Yeah. I actually don't have the presentation up. Can I do the
cool.
slides with you?
Yes.
Perfect.
Do that.
Awesome. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview of our mobile event guide. If you've been to the last couple conferences, you are probably familiar. We stuck with the same provider there, so it'll look pretty familiar. And I would strongly recommend you to check out the mobile event guide, maybe get familiar with it before you get on site in Seattle, because this will be your number one go-to place for conference information. It's pretty easy to use, I think, and on it you'll find the most up-to-date information on your schedule, all the sessions, all the different events going on. Just for example, we do have like an on-site printed program, but we had like a session change just this morning, so that info gets updated immediately on the site, and we can put on even like alerts if we need to tell people of something that might be happening, like breaking news on site. So this will definitely be your best place for up-to-the-minute info. It's also your best place for full session details. This year at the conference, we'll have a sort of condensed printed program. So if you want to know full session descriptions, if you want to see all the different speakers on each session, their organizational affiliations, if you want all those details, you're going to need to check out the mobile event guide, because it will be in a condensed format in that printed program that we provide on site. And I do get questions on this pretty frequently. If someone is looking for a printable, like PDF version of the program that has all the details that they'd like to, print out in advance, go over with their team, mark it up, bring it with them, we do have that available as well. And I've posted it in the mobile event guide, so I'll show you where to find that in a minute. So just keep in mind, this will be the best place for full details. You also get session materials. All of our speakers have been given the option to upload handouts or their slides or additional reading or articles they might want to offer you to complement their session. So this will be the only place to find those links and those downloads. You can also create a personal schedule on the mobile event guide. You can create a login and a profile and take sessions and add them to your schedule, and then you'll have that all of your sessions you'd like to go to, you'll have that easily sort of compiled in one place on your event feed, and that will tell you where you need to go next, which is super helpful, I think. It also allows you to sort of take notes on sessions, save your favorite speakers, your favorite sponsors, all that good stuff. So having that login and being able to sort of personalize and curate your conference experience, I think is super helpful. Next is session reviews. These are totally vital to our conference planning. We take attendee feedback really seriously here, and we use your session reviews to help us pick which sessions to have next year and which speakers we need to repeat and which topics are super important to you guys. So we really, really appreciate your taking the time to submit session reviews. for all the sessions that you go to, and the only place to do that is within the mobile event guide. You don't have to create a login for this. You can definitely submit them anonymously, but it is the only place to do it, so we super appreciate your taking the time to do that. Also, there's sort of networking opportunities. You'll have all of the speakers at your sessions have a profile on the event guide, so that's a great way to sort of look them up and follow up with them further if you'd like. And then we don't have open now, but we are also going to have an attendee listing for all the folks that have created profiles and sort of shared a little bit about themselves will be available on site as well. And then finally, just other important event info is contained in the event guide, and that is a sort of one-stop shop to find all the details that you'll need. We're going to the next slide. Yes, there we go. So now that you know all the wonderful things that are on the mobile event guide, the question is, how do you get to it? And it's super convenient because it's available both as a website. So if you would prefer to just go on from your desktop computer, your laptop computer, or from your iPad, what have you, it is available as a website. And you'll just visit eventmobi.com/mainstreetnow19. Or you can download it as a mobile app. So if you would like to have that as a native app on your phone that you can just access on the go, that is also an option. So if you would prefer not to have anything downloaded, that's totally fine. Just head to the website, and it is mobile friendly. Or if you do want to have that with you at all times on your phone, go ahead and download the app. We are in the Apple App Store and also Google Play. So you'll just search MSN 2019, and that will bring you to the app to download. And then one more slide. Oh man. PowerPoint. There we go. The last thing that I wanted to mention about the mobile event guide is Game Street Now. If you've been with us for the past couple conferences, this is I think the third year of Game Street Now, and this is our conference-wide game/scavenger hunt. And you can compete with other attendees to win a free registration to Main Street Now 2020. So if you'd like to join us again next year for free, I suggest you get on the event guide and start playing. All you'll need to do is access the mobile event guide and then head to the Game Street Now tab. And there you'll find some challenges that you can complete, and those will give you secret passcodes. And the challenges could be anything from, read this email that we're sending out and find the code, or head to the expo hall and look for the code there. Or so it could be something that you do do online, or it could be something where we have you actually go somewhere, or on site we could have you take a selfie in front of registration and post it on Instagram and tag us in it, and then we'll send you a code from there. So it's pretty fun. It's a fun way to just sort of bop around the conference and network with other attendees that might be competing and whatnot. So it's definitely a good time, and then you also have that opportunity to get a super valuable prize. So once you get your passcode, just go back to the mobile event guide and enter your code, and you'll be awarded points. And then we also have a leaderboard that we put up at our booth. So if you want to be super competitive with your fellow attendees, head to our booth to see who is currently winning the game. And then that'll go through Wednesday afternoon, and we will announce the winner at the closing plenary and give you your certificate of free registration. So it's a good time. And with that, I'm going to take the reins here and just do a quick tutorial of the app online, or the mobile event guide, I should say, so you can see what it looks like. Yes, okay. Wonderful. So this is the mobile event guide. You can see that I'm just here on my regular laptop, just at eventmobi.com/mainstreetnow19. Just as a website, no need to download anything here. This is the home page. You'll see we've got menu options both on the left-hand side here and down the middle. And the app version, if you were to download the app, will look exactly the same. So it's nice that you don't have to kind of learn two systems. It'll be the same in both places. And if you scroll down, schedule, event info, a map for the Hyatt Regency, speakers, a nice little countdown clock to see we are closing in on 11 days here. And then also a Game Street Now leaderboard. So you can see there are already a good number of people playing Game Street Now and completing challenges and winning points. So I would definitely encourage you to join in. So if you've gotten this far, you're going to want to go ahead and create a profile if you want to utilize some of those more personalized features. And that's pretty easy. All you'll need to do is enter your email address. And if you have an existing profile, it will ask you for your password. If it doesn't recognize your email, it'll ask you to create one. And I would note that this system is separate from your membership login info, and it's separate from your registration login info. So go ahead and just complete a new account because this is a standalone system. So you can see I've logged in there, and it's showing me my sort of personal options. I can edit my profile, set up some preferences, access my personal schedule, favorite sponsors, notes, favorite documents, etc. So I'll let you guys explore those elements on your own, but I do just want to point you to the most important parts here. The schedule, I think, is the number one thing that people will use the mobile event guide for. So if you just head to schedule, it has an exhaustive listing of all of the tours, the education workshops, the extra events, and also just some logistical information such as registration hours, bookstore hours, that type of thing. The one thing I would point you to as sort of insider tip, if you just click schedule, it's going to display in chronological order. So you can see I'm seeing I'm seeing Sunday here because that's the first day of events. So if you scroll down, you might be like, oh no, are there no more sessions? But there are. You're only on Sunday. So go ahead and click that, and you can either view all or view by day. That's a common question, so I just wanted to call that out. So I'll go ahead and view all here. And just to give you an example of what these look like, you can click into a session and it will give you where and when to find it, links to your speakers, a description, all that good stuff. And then just while I'm here, I wanted to show you the session review form. You'll just go to the session that you're looking for, scroll down where it says session feedback and click review. And then it will give you a short and sweet review form that you can fill out to let us know how you liked that session and whether or not you would recommend them for the future. So we super appreciate you taking the time to fill those out. A couple other elements I would point you toward as the search function. This is super helpful even for me as one of the conference planners to just find something on the fly. You can search by keyword, session title, speaker. So I just searched for speaker and she came up right away. So I'm able to find that, and that takes me to the different sessions that she's doing, and also like contact info, all that good stuff. This is also a good segue to show you those session materials I was talking about. This speaker has chosen to upload some extra documents to go along with her sessions. So this is some extra resources that I can only find here on the mobile event guide. So definitely would point you toward that as well. So the event information has a lot of helpful links that I would point you toward, just some extra info, some things about Seattle, all kinds of good stuff. Most of these are just links to other websites, some uploaded PDFs. The one that I wanted to highlight for you is the printable PDF schedule. This will be if you want to have a printed out document that you can bring with you to Seattle that has all of the session descriptions, all of the speakers, all the details. This will be, I'm not going to open it now because it is a large document, so it might take a while to load, but if that's what you're looking for, this is where you can find that. And then another area, we do have all of our social handles listed out here for you, so we absolutely love if you guys share your conference experience with us on social media and go ahead and tag us in those posts. I know our communications team really loves seeing those, so I would encourage you to find those here. And then just one last spot I'll show you is that Game Street Now area that I mentioned. This is where you can find those challenges that I mentioned before. We've got a few pre-conference challenges going on right now, so I'd certainly encourage you to check those out and keep your eye on your email and your social to get some secret passcodes. And then you'll see you can either just enter a passcode up here. If you're not sure which challenge it goes to, you can enter it up here, or you can click into the challenge and enter it in there. So a couple different options. And then it's also fun, you can check out the leaderboard while you're here. And you can see currently Susan Brown is doing work. And yeah, so you can see where you are and how you're doing in the competition. So that's just a quick overview. Definitely explore more on your own, and if you do find that you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to any of us here at the National Main Street Center, and we'd be happy to help you find your way around. And with that, we'll head back to the presentation. Yes. Perfect. Okay. And then, as just a little bonus treat for being here with us on the webinar today, and to entice you further to checking out the mobile event guide and playing Game Street Now with us, there is a special challenge code for 100 points for being here with us on the webinar. So if you take down code WB13, you will get 100 points. So feel free to jot that down, enter it later, and I look forward to seeing you all on the leaderboard there.
Great. Thank you, Tali. So with that, we will turn it over to our partner all the way out on the West Coast there, Brianne, and she will, walk us through some, kind of Seattle-specific things, hit on some conference tours that are still available for those interested, and all that. So with that, I will turn it over to Brianne.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, thanks, Steve. It's really great to be this close to the conference, and very excited for you all to be out on the West Coast with us. I run the Washington State Main Street program on behalf of the Washington Trust for Historic Preservation, and we just want to say we're just super jazzed for you all to get out here. It was really fun to be able to announce and share that 2019 was going to be in Seattle. Last year when we were all in Kansas City, and in part because so many of you came up to me in the expo hall and said you were excited to come and were expecting to, take a few extra days to explore the city and the state. We just really wanted to make sure that we were doing everything we could to make that a great experience for you. So to that end, there's a blog post that I did recently that you can find on the Main Street America website about kind of a top 10 list for Seattle. But on the next slide, I broke it down into kind of the big three. So I'll ask Steve to move it on. Thanks. And then you'll be clicking through them, Steve. Thanks. Yep. So the number one thing about visiting Seattle is that you have to, in some way, shape, or form, get out on the water. And by far the easiest way to do that, and a fairly inexpensive way, is to get on a ferry. So one of our Main Street communities, Bainbridge Island, is actually just a ferry ride away. So if you're looking for a destination, you can literally just walk down to the ferry docks in downtown Seattle, which would be less than a mile from the hotel, and hop a ferry over to Bainbridge Island, which is also, their downtown is very walkable from their ferry port. So I definitely recommend, if you have a free afternoon, or if you're staying a few days later, definitely take a ferry somewhere, because it's just a very Washington experience. There's some, if you're up for a little bit more of a hike, our Whidbey Island, which is a little north of Seattle, has 3 Main Street communities on it, Coopville, Langley, and Oak Harbor, and that's also a ferry right away. So we have more information at our website, which is preservewa.org/Main Street, if you want to learn about where the Washington Main Street communities are around the state. But another fun way to get out on the water is you can actually rent a kayak from any number of spots in the city. So if you're feeling adventurous and want to paddle around Lake Union, that's a great way to do it too. Or if nothing else, just say, go to one of these great vistas we have in the city, Go down to Pike Place, which is right on the water. In West Seattle, there's Alki Beach. And then this picture you have before you here is of Gasworks Park. So just taking the real beauty of the Pacific Northwest while you're here. And a quick note on weather. Sometimes it really does look like that photo here in Seattle. And we have had an unseasonably sunny March so far. So we really are pulling whatever strings there are to keep the sunshine around for you all toward the end of the month. But I do recommend, especially if you are a part of a field session, that you do bring an umbrella or ideally a raincoat and appropriate footwear, all of that. We don't want you to feel at all like you're restricted to the hotel because you don't have the rain gear, in case there is need for it. Though again, we hope it looks exactly like that picture for you. So the next thing I want to encourage you to do is just really take in the culinary side of Seattle. A couple of things that you should try. Salmon obviously is a big one. There's lots of great places to, restaurants that'll be serving local salmon, particularly around Pike Place, I would imagine. Definitely try oysters. They are super local. They're from the Puget Sound. Most places you would go that have oysters in Seattle, they've gotten them from within probably like a 50-mile radius. And they do taste exactly like the sea. So I definitely encourage you to at least try that experience. We also have some great chocolate factories here in Seattle, some of which you can tour. And then I don't know if this is known nationwide, but in my opinion, the Pacific Northwest is an exceptional place to try beer. We've got a lot of IPAs in this area, but you can find any number of great breweries around the city, many of which would be walking distance from the hotel. And then the last thing I wanted to encourage you to do is to stay longer, arrive early, and really find some great live entertainment. We have some really beautiful historic theaters in downtown Seattle, but also a lot of kind of just quirky hole-in-the-wall places where you can catch a good show or karaoke. So with that, I'll mention again that there's a whole blog post about the top 10 Seattle experiences that you can find on the national website. So moving on, I wanted to show some of the neighborhoods in Seattle. This actually is another blog post that one of my coworkers submitted to National several months ago about how Seattle is just really a city of neighborhoods. So Steve, if you'll click through, there'll be little icons that'll pop up. So that's our hotel right there in the Denny Triangle. And that's just as a reference point for the other items. Okay, so quite a few things popped up just now. There are some really incredible neighborhoods, both for the local feel of an authentic historic district. Down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the little sort of Main Street shop icon in Pioneer Square in the International District. There are some really great neighborhoods for dining as well. Again, the International District is one I recommend. There's a great sort of triangle of local dining options just to the east of the Hyatt. And we call that the Pike Pine Corridor. So you can literally just walk up Pike or Pine Street from the hotel and find just a really great cluster of dining options there. If you're looking for a cocktail, again, Pioneer Square or Belltown are great places to go. And then, of course, there are some major attractions, such as the Space Needle, which I've indicated on the top left-hand side in that green area, which is the Seattle Center. And then, of course, Pike Place Market down on the waterfront there with another one of those drop location icons. And then one more click, Steve. So how do you get to some of these neighborhoods? Obviously, you could walk, and we definitely encourage that. But if you're going down to Pioneer Square and the International District, and you don't have as much time as you might like to walk down there, which would be around a mile probably for each, you can actually hop on our light rail. It's called the Link Light Rail, and it's really a great public transit resource for you. You can see that there's one light rail station, and those are the little orange cars, that's really close to the hotel. That's going to be the Westlake station. So that's kind of your go-to station near the hotel. But you can get down to, there's a stop in Pioneer Square, there's a stop in the International District, and then there's a stop up north at Capitol Hill, which is another great neighborhood I encourage you to explore. So all of this is to say that, you know, we really just are so excited for you to get out and about when you're here and really explore all that Seattle has to offer. I want to mention too that the light rail, and again, it's called the Link Light Rail, is a great resource for getting downtown from the airport. So it does go all the way to the airport, which is SeaTac. And so you can look for the signs and kind of follow what a lot of the crowd will be doing, which is walking to the light rail platform. And it's pretty cheap and very efficient. So I do recommend that as a way to get from SeaTac down to the hotel when you arrive. Okay, and so next up, I just wanted to go over a few of the tours. So a lot of the field sessions have sold out, but there are just a smattering of them that still have spots left that I just think are real gems. And so I want to encourage you, if you haven't already signed up for a field session, this is another really great way to get out into not just Seattle, but some of our Main Street communities as well. So the first one that's on your screen right now is a tour to Bainbridge Island. And this is one that I'm just really excited that we're able to offer because Bainbridge Island is what you would call a first history site. It's the first place where Japanese Americans were forced out of their homes after Executive Order 9066 was signed during World War II. And Bainbridge, again, is a Main Street community, but you're going to see more than just the downtown on this tour. You'll go out to a memorial that was built right at the dock where the Bainbridge Island residents were made to leave the island. And by and far, I think the most unique and truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience that this tour offers is that some of the docents who will be leading this tour on behalf of one of the museums on Bainbridge were actually children who were detained themselves. And so being able to hear their stories in the place where it happened, I think is just something I'm so excited that we're able to offer. Next up, we've got a tour to Tacoma, which is a very cool city just south of Seattle. It's a great urban story about the University of Washington actually taking over several blocks and opening a campus there. And not only that, it is more than a town and gown kind of story because they have a really exceptional urban studies program. And so you'll be hearing from some of the students about projects that they've worked on with the city of Tacoma that have been really impactful for things like public transportation and infrastructure and connecting to the waterway. So if you're interested at all in the academic component of urban planning and how that can interact with a historic district, this is a really great tour for you. And then another one of the field sessions that goes to a Main Street community is focused on Kent's really diverse population. They're one of the cities in Washington that is experiencing really high volume of immigrants and refugees moving there or relocating there. And it's really affecting their downtown and their community as a whole. And there's some really innovative organizations such as Ubuntu Street Cafe that are focused on employing immigrants and refugees as well as helping them open their own businesses. And so this is, again, something I'm super excited to offer and showcase some of the innovation that's happening in this Main Street community. Oh, and it includes tastings from some of these immigrant-owned restaurants. Okay. And last but not least, and I'll say right up front, this is a beer tasting tour. We're looking at the Innovation Partnership Zone, which I believe is unique to Washington, but it's a Department of Commerce initiative that has really elevated the natural resources in lots of different areas around the state. But in Skagit Valley, where one of our Main Street communities, Mount Vernon, is located, the zone is focused on value-added agriculture. And they've just got a beautiful ag-based economy up there with lots of resources around grains, producing bread and beer and spirits. And so this is going to look at some of the innovations that have come out of that, as well as how they're affecting the Mount Vernon Main Street program. And so you'll be able to go to a couple of different facilities and see the process and also do some tasting. And then you'll end in downtown Mount Vernon to make that connection as well. So that's all I had for you today. Again, I'm just so excited that we're having the opportunity to host you all in Washington, and just really look forward to seeing you all at the Hyatt as the conference begins, and hope you take advantage of every opportunity we have for you to get out into the city and into the state.
Great. Thank you, Brandon. Just want to give a shout out to Brandon and her team, who have worked probably the last 18 months or so tirelessly on this conference. Looking like it might be a record breaker for attendance. So we're just shy of 1,700 as of yesterday. So definitely seems like people are excited to come out there, Brianne. So with that, we'll open it up for any questions that folks may have. There's a questions tab there, so just type in your questions and we can answer any questions as best we can. For a few minutes before, looks like we have about 10 minutes, so we can, start taking questions there, either around conference events, mobile app, other things to do in and around Seattle. We have a few, if I can get this to open. What is it? Let's see. Sorry, I see a handful of questions. It just doesn't want to. Oh, there we go. That I got. Looks like that one, the mobile events things resolved. Taking light rail from the airport. So yes, Brianne mentioned this briefly. The couple planning visits I've been out there, I've utilized the light rail. It's only $3, so extremely affordable. It's taken me about 45 minutes or so, but super easy. I've taken taxis or Lyft as well, and that's more probably in the $25 to $30 range. So light rail is definitely an efficient and kind of you get to see a little bit of the city, or outside the city between there and the airport. So definitely super easy. I don't know the exact hours, Brian. I don't know if you do either. One time I didn't get in until really late, so I didn't take it. I think it closes maybe at midnight.
Yeah, I think it actually runs from 5 a.m. till 1 a.m. So almost continuously. Perfect.
Good. So yeah, definitely, definitely recommend that if you're looking for a way to, to save some money. As I mentioned, I know Lyft, Uber, taxis are all available as options as well. Let's see, that one is removed. Will there be any shuttle service at the conference hotel for attendees? Again, most events are at, all events are at the Hyatt Regency, with the exception of the opening plenary and the Big Bash. There is a shuttle for the Big Bash. There is not for the opening plenary, but I'm going to check, because we did get another question about that. So I'm going to inquire with the, to see if there's an option to do anything there for that. Outside of that, there is not any service between between the Hyatt and the other hotels planned. So if that answers that. Back to the light rail. How close to the conference hotel does it go? I believe there's a stop. I've always taken it from near Benaroya Hall, which is a little bit further away, but that's just where either my first meeting or last meeting was. But I believe there's a stop within a couple blocks of the hotel, so not too far.
Yeah, that's right. You should look for the Westlake station as your destination, and that's only a few blocks away.
Yeah, I think it's like 3 or 4 blocks. I think I walked past it once. So yeah, 3 or 4 blocks away. So yes, Priya mentioned super close. Yeah, then I mean Pike Place Market. I know Brianne highlighted it. That's about probably a 6 or 7 block walk because we're basically at 8th and Howell, and that's at 1st and I don't know what Pike. I guess probably, and I don't know what it's between there, but. Good. I don't see. I'll give folks one more minute for any last questions. Otherwise, Brianne, I don't know if you have anything else you want to hit on before we break. But
I don't have anything specific to add, but I know Tali went over the mobile app, and I believe that we're going to have some restaurant recommendations that I have submitted included on there as well. So again, there's some great stuff at the Hyatt. As well. There's, a quick grab and go. There's a really popular local steakhouse there. But as always, and I know you all as Main Streeters totally get this, but we just really want to see you out and about in the city as well. So we've put together a list of some of the locally owned establishments that you can patronize for lunch and dinner.
Great. Thank you, Brianne. Yes, and I believe they're up in there already.
Yep. Under event information.
Yep. And something else that we are doing is kind of a lunch meetup. So especially for any new attendees where we've all been to a conference where we don't really know anybody else or that. So there are going to be kind of some lunch meetups where if you're kind of on your own and looking for a group, we'll have some meetups and you guys can get together and find a place to go out to lunch. A lot of really walkable, easily accessible, restaurants from where the hotel is at. Let's see. We had a question about Big Bash tickets. Yes, any Big Bash tickets you purchase will be in your registration packets there. So again, before you walk away from registration, just double check and make sure you have any tickets that you're supposed to have, because they're we are limited and don't have extras. So and I know Brianne hit on some of the seafood, and the Big Bash will have plenty of both seafood options as well as local craft beers and wine. So if you're looking to get that experience there, definitely recommend getting some of those tickets. Will the webinar be recorded so we can watch again? It will be recorded. I believe within 24 hours you should receive an email link with the recording, but we'll also be sure to post it, post it on social media and on the website and that, so you can go back and watch it again. How easy is it to get around if I'm driving myself there and not using public transportation? It's Seattle traffic, so yeah, I'll defer to you, Priya.
Yeah, exactly. We do have a pretty significant travel issue, or rush hour issue, congestion issue in Seattle. So I would just be very aware of that. Sort of consider, evening rush hour at least between 4 and 6 o'clock. Once you get downtown, it's actually a little easier, but if you're trying to get from the airport on I-5, you'll really just want to use your Google map and see, what the estimated time is going to be, so you're not just totally shocked by that. And I don't know what the exact parking rate is at the hotel, but that would be something to consider too. And I'm sure Steve can tell you how much that is.
Yes, I don't have it off the top of my head, but I know it's not cheap. I will say that much. I'm sure there's other garages around that you could probably get for a little bit cheaper, but I'm guessing it's probably between at least $30 and $40 a day. But since none of us are driving in, we don't have. Someone says $50 a night, so that may be for overnight valet, but I'm sure it's not much cheaper to park there all day either. And something else I was going to hit on regarding the airport too, I know, not so much for flying in, but for flying out, I know, Graham, there's still quite a bit of construction going on at the airport, so they do recommend you arrive, give yourself, plenty of time when you're heading back from Seattle.
Yeah, good point. When you're flying back, I'd say be there, 2 hours before your takeoff.
Let's see, got that one. I'm not the main contact on my registration. Can I get that transferred to me so I can register for events? You can. Our registration company will manage all of that. Their contact information should be on the registration site. Otherwise, I can try to pull it up for you real quick and get you that email. Someone said, yeah, hotel parking is $50 a night. Someone said 40 plus tax. So again, expensive. Can we come in late in the Main Street 101s? Of course, just, obviously ask that you you do it as quietly as possible and not disturb others. Let me see really quick if I can get you to the registration site and show you that contact information. Hopefully everyone can still see this. And yeah, just following up on that question, any registration changes or additions or anything all do need to go through the registration company. So just be sure, you're directed to them. Our staff do not have the capabilities to either add tickets or change names or any of that. So just make sure all of those inquiries are being directed through the registration company. But I will pull up quickly the contact information. There we go. Okay, I could have clicked that.
Okay.
So here is the contact us. So again, right there, Deborah at sswmeetings.com. She'll be kind of your primary contact if you either want to add events, change anything about your registration, have any billing questions, etc. There are also, I believe, instructions on if you want to add events on the Main Street website. I thought maybe
there
not.
should be. If not, if you happen to be in the mobile event guide, any ticketed event has a link to how to add ticketed events to your registration as well. So there are a couple of different ways to find it.
Appreciate the note, Rick. Look forward to seeing you guys from Oceanside up there. Hopefully some of that warm California weather. So, good. Well, with that, I think, that concludes everything. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us with any questions. We look forward to seeing everyone in Seattle. And again, this is recorded, and you should see that email come through with the recording, by tomorrow afternoon. And again, we'll post it on the website as well. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Gran. See you in a couple weeks.
See you all soon.